Dunalley, and welcome to another episode of Vent in the Van. This episode is the Tasman Peninsula.
You didn't welcome.
Welcome to another episode of Vent in the Van. We're at Dunalley pub. I should start that again. Anyway, Mariah Island is but a long lost memory. It is freezing cold. It has been blowing southerlies like you wouldn't believe and raining its cartoony off for the last 24 hours. But we have shot down to Dunalley pub. We had a feed there last night. Free camping out the back. Very, very worth it for a stopover. Very, very, very good food.
The sea road down is a dirt road.
Sea road down, if you cut down, take a shortcut like we did to try and save 13 minutes, is a dirt road. But that's okay. We needed
It was fine. We survived.
It was fine. We survived. But anyway, we are now heading down into the Tasman Peninsula, Port Arthur, and all that jazz. But first stop is the national park right at the tip, which the name now escapes me.
Lime Bay.
There you go.
Lime Bay. Campground.
Yeah. We'll see you there. So a quick little dirt road in, and we've arrived at Lime Bay. Have a look at this.
That's literally picked black sand.
So I reckon this will be us for the week, or for the next 5 days anyway, because I've got to work. And then we'll sort of use this as a base to, there's a few things around here we want to check out. But it's not a bad little spot. I think it's a bit of a weekender. Because we're literally, like, if you go across the bay, we're literally at Hobart. But you've got to drive all the way around the peninsula to get here. But no, good little spot for $16 a night per family. Got 4 good clean toilets. It's pretty much what we love, what we need. And you get all of this. And the boys will probably spend most of their time down here. And I reckon, even though it's going to be cold, we might even try for a swim later on. Not tonight, but I reckon we can do a swim. I didn't do a snorkel because the water is crystal clear. But for now, we'll just go for a wander and then go to bed. See what we get up to tomorrow. Just hanging out at the campsite. Aren't you, hey? Zoom in on you. Hello.
Cutie, cutie.
Hello, Wallaby. Hello, Wallaby. Does he go hop, hop? Hop, hop, Wallaby. Hop, hop. Yeah. Hello, Wallaby. Ah, hello. Peekaboo.
Hey Toby, do they have showers here?
No. Who cares?
It's very black, isn't it?
Yep. I like black.
Is it fun?
Yes! Because it's black. I like the color black. I like to eat black gloop. I like to have it on my pudding. It's white, so I must make it black. 3 years later, snow still not done. White sand in it. And then it makes grey sand!
So, yet another action-packed episode of us not really doing a great deal. Tanya's being the milkmaid. We've got some champagne. We've got some fresh oysters from Dunalley, which is the pub that we were staying at earlier on. Not a great deal to do, but look at that. Which, to be fair, is not that much of a Friday afternoon. So I think we might, local bottle, Tassie Method Traditional, some fresh lemon, and a couple of dozen oysters, and a beautiful little girl. The boys are off on their BMXs somewhere, or Eli's at school. And I think that's our afternoon. What do you think? Good idea? Do you want to try an oyster? What do you reckon?
Not yet.
Look at these though. So seriously, these are 16, I think it was $16. Unshucked for a baker's dozen. Remember, there's two different types in there. There's the gold ones and the usual, which I would know the names properly, but I can't remember them. I don't know. She said they're both good.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Champagne? Oysters? Yeah. Have to go get that.
Okay, so this is Toby having
Oysters.
some oyster. Go on.
Delicious.
Go on.
Chomp it down.
Go, you gotta eat it now, it's in there. What do you think? No, don't spit it out. It's in there. It's gotta go down. Good. No, you gotta swallow it. You gotta swallow it. No, you gotta swallow it. No. That was a good oyster. See, we do this on purpose. No, you might acquire a taste for it one day. That's got oyster on it. No, where was he?
I cracked this open to feed to my crab and he was in there.
Oh, there you go. Maybe he's already eating the mussel. There you go.
I saved his life
There you go. Look at
by accident.
What's his name?
Crabbo the crab.
Crabbo the crab, eh?
Red claw.
Red claw. How many of them are there, you reckon?
About 100 million in the world.
How many under the rocks here?
1,000.
There you go.
Dad, I'm standing up.
I can tell you're standing up. All right, fast forward to very wet days here in the Lime Bay National Park Reserve.
No,
No?
just Lime Bay.
Just Lime Bay. Just
On
Lime
the
Bay.
Tasman
In
Peninsula.
Tasmania.
On the Tasman Peninsula, which is where we are right now.
On Tasmania.
We've decided we should actually do something rather than me working and us being in the rain. So we have come down the road to the main reason why we came here, which is the old mine site. Now, when you go up to Port Arthur, they recommend you actually check this site out too, because obviously, historically, we're in full swing at around the same time. Now, we're going to Port Arthur tomorrow, but today is the old coal mine settlement, which is this region's one of the, outside of Port Arthur, probably the most significant historic side of the peninsula. So we're going to go and check it out. There you go, look, first stop, doesn't take long.
History of the convict coal mines at this site began in 1833. By the late 1920s, the place was deserted and the buildings were in ruins. The Tasman Peninsula, 1830, established the Port Arthur.
All dug out by convicts. So So I must say these are actually very impressive. If this is any indication on what Port Arthur's going to be like, I would say it's all going to be very, very impressive. I mean, it's all ruins, but you can see all of these stones here have just been meticulously hand cut by convicts that some of them did very bad things, but others, you know, probably not so much. Have a look at this. So in here, these are the solitary confinement cells.
I walked in a room.
So if you're really naughty, this is where you end up. Now, that one's nice because it's got the light coming in on the top.
It didn't
But obviously
used to have.
they wouldn't have had that. So if we come into, let's go into this one here.
The self-service. And
This
then
is,
they lock the door.
oh, it's
Take down the
eerie.
door.
So you think of the stories this place must have back in the early 1800s. There would have been a convict in here. There would have been many convicts in here. And that door would have been shut. And it would have been almost pitch black in here.
Where a door?
And they would have sat in here day and night. What do you think, guys?
Where a door? We can't talk.
Could you imagine being locked in here? The only time you get to see someone is when they throw you one meal a day in under the door of
They just throw a stick of bread at you.
pretty much and some
Have
water.
that. No lock.
Creepy.
You're still trapped in here.
Very, very creepy. So this was the site of one of the main stores for the provisions of the 600 plus convicts that were here working in the mines, and obviously the soldiers and all their families. And as you can well imagine, there was a thriving black market here, and stuff kept on going missing, and they couldn't figure out why. In the mid 1800s, they did an inquiry as to why they thought why all this stuff was going missing from the stores, and the conclusion that they came to was in relation to the 7 gallons of rum being provided to the soldiers, who were often blind drunk on the night watch, and the convicts were able to slip out and raid the storerooms. That's kind of funny. I love history. So we're taking the path up the hill. Hang on, Toby, just give me 2 secs. Yes, no, it's not. So we're going to go up this hill here. So this long straight path up the hill was originally where the tracks went for the coal cart. So this leads up to the main shaft. And on this exact trail, the convicts used to just go up and down, lugging these carts full of coal, breaking them on the way down and then hauling them back up from dawn till dusk. Hard labour. As you walk up this hill that is much longer than I thought it was going to be, we thought it was going to be, there is just coal everywhere, littered all the way along the path here. All of that black stuff that you can see is raw coal. And when you think about each piece of that black stuff, there's a remnants from a forest that grew millions of years ago.
Cool.
Just to end up right there, eh?
I thought this was going to be like more like alcohol, and that's like
Well, it's similar. That's just fossilised forest, basically. But I think we're almost at the top.
Having had full evidence of the deeds in the darkness perpetrated in the mines, I contemplated the naked figures, faintly perceptible in the gloom, with feelings of horror.
So imagine if this was your daily commute. Apparently they used to have 2 blokes on a pole, cuddled together with a rope. They'd lower them down that thing first thing in the morning with a pick. And then at the end of the day, they'd send it down there and bring everyone up. And then just here is where all the buckets of coal would come up and head back down that path that we just went. What if you needed to wee? Can't imagine health and safety would have been much of a thing back there. So it's really good up the top of the mountain here. You get this sort of bird's eye view of the whole peninsula. I don't know how well you can see it through the trees, but all these trees would have been logged back in the mid 1800s. And this wreck here was where the old semaphore was, which is those towers that they hang the flags on.
There we go. Captain O'Hara Booth designed the semaphore system that linked Port Arthur with other convict stations on the Tasman Peninsula, and it could then all be sent through a chain of signal stations to Hobart.
There you go. So they'd put flags up, and then they'd read the flags from the mainland, and they'd go communicate it all the way across to say we need provisions, or there's been a convict escape, or who needs the internet, right?
That was the buried alive cell.
These ones are a bit dark.
Oh, these ones are. So these are more more solitary confinement cells. And yeah, that would be. Look at this. You won't be able to see anything in here. Oh my God! And then turn around and just see the light of the door, and the door would have been closed. So the sign was saying before that many of these cells were occupied by men who got caught down in the mines, how do I say, with other men, which was apparently frowned upon back in the 1800s. And above here, they kept everyone in separate rooms during the night to ensure that that kind of hanky-panky didn't become too prolific. Oh, these cells are just eerie. You can't see it. It's too dark. Very, very eerie. So this guy out there has been wreaking havoc all night. Where is he? Where'd he go?
He's there.
This guy. Yeah, you, mister. Can see ya.
He's just strutting away.
He's just strutting away.
Full of dignity.
So this guy has been climbing all over our caravan for the last few nights. And he doesn't care.
Later, bro.
Later, bro. That's why if you're coming here, lock up your rubbish, hey? There he goes.
Come again.
Come again. Good night. Good morning, cutie pants. Hello. So we are all packed up, and as luck would have it, it is a beautiful day outside. We've had like 4 days of questionable weather, and the day we're leaving looks like today and tomorrow is going to be amazing. But we're going to go to Port Arthur. So yeah.
It's going to be raining there.
Yeah, a few things to do on the way first though. There you go. Paid $125. We're ready to go explore. And with that, we have arrived at Port Arthur, Australia's most well-preserved convict establishment. So I would say the next few hours is going to be spent meandering around this cool little place. I'd love to be here at Gold now because I bet it's a bloody photographer's paradise. But we've got the big dog, Tanya's got the brick, I've got mine. So hopefully we'll get some good photos. So we've opted to start at the most opulent residence, which is the main residence up on the hill where visiting dignitaries and parliamentarians used to stay, right next to the church. So it gives us a good feel for how the top half lived, and I think as we go down the hill we'll see more how the bottom half lived. On these walls here you can see hundreds of years of graffiti that people have just chipped away, and they've purposefully left some of them just to show the history of this place. But this is one of the only walls because it's actually not in the sun here, so it's still fully intact. Holy ground. Wow. You could almost be in England with this. It's great. This whole top section here is all where the enlisted and working people that supported the settlement lived, and doctors, accountants and soldiers and their families. And it'll be such a contrast for when we get down to the actual convict settlement area, because up the top here is actually like you're walking through some old beautiful historic garden. It actually looks amazing, but I'm guessing it's going to change as we go down the hill.
Rule 67. The convicts will keep their persons and cells at all times in the highest state of cleanliness and must invariably have the cell furniture and utensils neatly arranged.
That's where they'll pop the food. Inside the punishment cell. Can you imagine what this would have been like? They put this one little light in here so that it's not completely black, but it would have been terrifying.
What's the punishment?
Just dark and small and cold. So those cells that we were just in, a lot of those prisoners used to spend 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, and only were allowed out to pray and to have their pooper cleaned with normal exercise. I tell you what, that would have been absolute hell. I must say, one of the cool things about the way they've got Port Arthur set up is the clock towers ring, and there's always speakers and everywhere that kind of provide this ambience that sort of make you feel like you're back in time. Just the voices of the convicts and just the stories and the history of it, eh? Very cool. Got a primo day for it as well, I must say. There would have been like 3 or 4 stories here of just wall-to-wall convicts. No getting out of here with those bars on the windows. Not a lot of space in these cells here at all. 3 stories of these. What do you reckon, Eli? You'd survive the night in there? Don't think Bubba would. So it is 4 o'clock and I think we have done Port Arthur. So it took us just over 3 hours going at a pretty leisurely pace, and we basically did a big lap starting at the quarters of the generals and the church and all that kind of stuff, and then coming down to the penitentiary.
Oh, that's without doing any tours or
yeah, no tours. We didn't bother doing the boat because we hadn't heard. It's really just around that little island there, so we didn't bother. It was massively crowded, so we just wandered around and it was good. What do you reckon, guys?
I said it was pretty good.
Yeah, bit of history.
Do you want to be a convict?
Do you want to be a convict?
No.
So we did learn that what was the youngest age for
9.
convicts?
9.
So who could have been a convict here?
Eli.
Charlie. There were kids as young as 9 that were convicts here that got shipped away from their parents all the way from England to here. On that note, I think it's time to find somewhere to get some dinner. So a whole 7 minutes down the road, we couldn't head home yet. We had to go check out this, which is in a reserve, which the name escapes me. I'll put it down there. But there's a cave down here, apparently. Cave and blowholes, but I think blowholes is probably too far away. Anyway, we're gonna check it out. Look at this sea spray coming up there. Remarkable caves was what I meant to say before. So apparently the Remarkable Cave is called the Remarkable Cave for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, when you look down at it, it looks like a map of Tassie, which I'll put some footage in. And secondly, which you can see behind me here, is the way in which you see the dolerite come up and form that line there as it meets the sandstone, which is uniquely Tasmanian. Got a lot of those dolerite cliffs over there, guys. How good do they look? And there's tours that go from Port Arthur, so you can boat tours out to look at those. They would look amazing. Anyway, I think it's time to go and find some dinner. Hello, baby. Oh, that's so cute. That is so cute. Yet again, they're so tame. All right, it is morning. The sun is shining. Kyra is ready for a sleep. The weather is lovely. And we're going to go and check out Eaglehawk Neck. Eaglehawk Neck, which is really the last thing on the peninsula that we want to check out. So, a bit of history around it. Kyra needs to go to bed. Don't you, Bubba loves? Eaglehawk Neck. Tell you what, you've got to love this Tassie coastline. Just goes on and on. Those dolerite structures up the end there, I don't know if you can see them, but they look very, very impressive. So Devil's Kitchen would be good, but you can't really see much. Probably be better off if they had their thing over there, like the little skywalk or something. But if you have a look here, it drops right down. And you can see over there, and then that goes all the way out. And you can actually see the flat surface is where the harder dolerite starts. Everything above that is sandstone, which gets eroded away. So this would have been an arch here at some point in time, and the arch has collapsed down. And you can actually see, just with that crack there, another one forming. So this whole lot will go sometime over the next 100,000 years. There you go. So there was a look out over here on the other side. You can't see the kitchen, but you can see how the water comes in and just slowly eats away at the sandstone underneath us. Be good fishing down there, I reckon. It's a very deep channel. And the guys have hit blackberry pay dirt. Look at this. Crazy amount of blackberries.
What place?
Let's all ride the dog. Right, when the doggy looks like that, don't pat him.
Then you ride him.
He looks angry.
Ride him, cowboy.
He looks very angry. Where's Toby?
He's there.
Toby, you in there? There you go. We can get all of our 3 kids in a doggy barrel. You'll have to catch some convicts.
Let's get some convicts.
Yeah, let's go get some convicts.
Yeah, let's ride some cow.
So the very cool thing about Eaglehawk Neck, around just in relation to the geography of this island and the context of Port Arthur, is this was actually a choke point. So anyone that escaped from Port Arthur would have to come through Eaglehawk Neck. And so that the dogs that we saw before, there was 18 of those placed all the way along here, big ferocious dogs. Even out in the water they had platforms for them. And then they had the guards centre, or the guards stationed here. And so what would happen is they had the guards on 24/7 sentry, and if any of the dogs barked along this whole neck, then usually that would mean a convict was trying to get through. And so they'd come out there and they'd find them and they'd take them back to Port Arthur. So there is much method into why Port Arthur is where it is, because not only is the mountainous terrain, which you can pretty much see from here, that they would have to travel all the way north from Port Arthur to go through the mountainous terrain, then they're faced with these 18 vicious dogs on this choke point coming through here. So that's why very few escaped, and it was such a successful convict penitentiary. There you go. The tessellated pavement, which is all around me as we speak, is probably one of the most unique little geological features that you'll see down here in the south of Tasmania, and it is extremely unique. So it started its life about 290 million years ago, and it's all sedimentary rock. So that 290 million years ago, this was a very cold place, and so there was a lot of ice that came down here off the glaciers, and a lot of sediment that built up uniquely in this area. And so you can see how these huge icebergs have dropped these big chunks of like quartz and other rocks, and they've been embedded in the siltstone, well, the silt at the time that became siltstone. So you've got sort of all these fossils and everything, and you've got the layer of siltstone, and then over millions and millions of years, well, 290 million years, the earth crust has sort of pushed up and cracked the siltstone, and the cracks have been done in such a randomly unique way that you get these beautiful geometric patterns that look stunning. They just look man-made. You look down and you think, there's no way that's natural, but it is absolutely natural and a bit random and rare, but very worth checking out if you're down here on the Tasman Peninsula.